So I was taking a class today and I saw something very simple yet interesting that I'd love to share. I was taking a look at assignments from my students because in the last class I taught them the concept of support and resistance. Very simple concept, but a lot of people still make very grave mistakes. So that's why I'm here trying to show you, the common mistakes folks make with plotting out their support and resistance zones and how to avoid them, right? So in this chart is a GBPCAD pair. In fact, this particular chart that I'm about to show you is an example from one of the assignments that my students submitted, right? And I saw it and I took a snapshot and I was like, I would I would dwell more on this chart so folks can see how simple these concepts can be. My name is Zazie. I'm a pure price action swing trader. I do not trade the indicators. I love to interpret the charts in its naked form. And sometimes I come here to share my ideas, share you very simple way I analyze the market so you can see how I trade. And if you like to, trade like me, you could join my Discord community. The link is below in the description. There we have sessions where we talk about the charts, free sessions, get to be a part of the growing community where we talk about the charts and share ideas basically. So in this chart, GBPCAD daily time frame. Now, one very common mistake that folks make when plotting out their support and resistance. This video is to explain only the concepts of support and resistance. In the process of, explaining that, I might dwell a little on some candlestick patterns that I also find very interesting that I trade with. Let's see how it goes and we'll see if we'd get into that. So, excuse me. Like I said, people make a lot of mistakes, or this very common mistake when it comes to spotting out support and resistance. And the very common mistake that they make is in terms of the time frame, right? Maybe it's because I'm a swing trader, right? But this is a system that has worked for me consistently. It has helped me to stay profitable. It has helped me to stay consistent in terms of plotting out my analysis and knowing the things that I look out for when I take trades or when I generally just analyze the charts. So you can see that I have this pair on the daily time frame, and that is because when I plot my support and resistance zones, I like to plot these zones on the daily or the weekly time frame. The reason I do this is because these time frames are very strong time frames. They are high time frames. So most of the time, you would find out that price is always respecting these zones that are plotted on these high time frames. Sometimes you notice that folks would put out their zones, support resistance zones in small time frames like the H1, M30, M15, even M5. I mean, people do those things and, it works for them the way it works for them, right? But you notice that a lot of times those zones get easily broken. Obviously because it's a smaller time frame, right? But you would not see these zones getting easily broken on high time frames like the daily or the weekly. And being able to spot these zones in these high time frames would make a very huge difference in your analysis in general. So in this trade or in this chart, I'm only going to focus on the daily time frame because everything I see is right here. I mean, in terms of plotting out the support and resistance though, right? So I could pick up my rectangle tool and I see that there's been an area where price has repeatedly reversed from. So if you look at this point right here, it's a very clear high point where there was a very significant reversal. Price came all the way to this level and reversed to this point. And then it tested it for the first time at this level and sold all the way to this point, respecting the zone right here. So I could just mark that out. Respecting this demand zone just right here. It might not really play so much difference going forward, but let's just see how it goes. It's good to just have it plotted out to know what you're dealing with. So the first time price came all the way to this point, respected the zone. The second time price retested this resistance. It retested it all the way to this level. And then the third time, price started giving us the vibe that it was going to break, but the break didn't happen immediately. there was a reversal again all the way to this point, and then eventually market broke, right? So the concept of support and resistance is a very simple concept where you're looking out for major points where reversals have happened. Now, these major points where reversals can have happened can actually happen in smaller time frames, right? But based on the fact that it's a smaller time frame, price wouldn't hold on that zone for so long, right? But if you're using a higher time frame, it's easier for you to spot these zones and look out for the period that price actually goes there to test it, to know if it's an entry point or it's a point where you're probably just waiting for a breakout and a retest situation. Now, in this case, I have highlighted my resistance zone here, and that is because market has repeatedly reversed from this zone. Now, one very common thing that I'm sure you already know or you might not know is the fact that when a zone has been broken, for instance, we have a resistance zone plotted here. When a resistance zone has been broken, most of the time, markets will come back and retest that zone to form a new support. You'd see here when price broke out of this zone, immediately there was a retest, right? But let's just say this is not even the retest we're looking for, even though this retest is also valid. You see that price actually went all the way up. Now, one thing you need to note about spotting out breakouts on zones, resistance or support zones, is when there's been a breakout, it's more solid when price has actually gone beyond that zone. So this is our resistance right here. Market broke out all the way to this point before it's even reversed. A situation like this, you can see that the breakout is solid to some extent. It is actually solid. Markets actually formed a lot of solid candles outside of this zone that confirm to us that this resistance zone is no longer solid, right? So the breakout happened and then market came back and gave us a reversal. The reversal happened just right at this demand zone, just right here. So one interesting thing about these zones, spotting them on higher time frames, and not just the zones now, like doing my analysis generally using the pure price action system, is there's always a lot of confluence, right? Everything just relates, everything just connects. Now, you see how I have my resistance zone here, but still at the resistance zone, there's a demand zone the market is respecting. So price is not only coming back to test this resistance, it's also coming back to test my demand for the first time. So if I were to be very strong on a trade like this, I would have like very full confidence because there is confluence from not only the resistance now, but also the demand zone that has just been formed and tested for the first time. Well, this is not a video explaining the concept of demand and supply. I'll probably make another video explain all of that to you. But for now, our focus is support and resistance. Now, I like to teach support and resistance and demand and supply separately because as much as they might have some similarities, there are also some very, very significant differences. And demand and supply is a lot more broad in terms of figuring out the actual candles to mark out to form the zones, unlike support and resistance where you can just pick up your rectangle tool and just plot out a zone just based off of what you're seeing, right? You're not really putting too much thoughts into it. You're not really looking at specific candles to be sure of the actual points to mark out. You can just pick out your rectangle tool and see a zone and be like, yo, this zone is actually obvious and there's been a lot of reversals at this area and this is where I'm putting out my resistance zone. I mean, it's not guesswork because you can see what the market is showing you before you put it, but it's a lot more easier to spot out a support and a resistance zone than actually just spotting out a demand and supply. Demand and supply is more like, technical. Right. So in this chart, I can see a lot of things. I not only see like there's been a resistance zone that's been broken. I can see that, there's been like a very interesting uptrend. You can draw it in two ways. From this low, connecting this higher low, or you can spot it from here. Either ways, it's still pointing towards, the bullish movement, right? So it's a very easy chart. You can look at it as a broken resistance form support. You can also look at it as an ascending triangle. I'm very big on chart patterns. I'm very big on candlesticks. I'm very big on everything price action, right? So I can literally just look at the chart and see all of the shapes and forms and spot out all the right patterns to sort of confirm my entry, right? So in this situation here, I'm just showing you how you can take advantage of spotting out a very important, simple yet important zone. The charts do not have to be hard, right? You can literally just look at the chart and be sure of the next move that you're going to make, so long as you're looking at it from the right angle. Personally, I like to hold my trades for longer periods than some. I like to hold my trades for a couple days. If there's high volatility, it could just last for like a couple hours, right? But I like to hold my trade generally for days, just because I naturally just take my analysis and my entries from higher time frames. So it helps me to stay longer in the markets. It gives me like a more stable market to deal with, and I'm not budging myself almost every minute trying to figure out where the market is at, because I know that I'm working with a high time frame, and based on the high time frame, I am a little bit more relaxed and I do not have to sweat it all the time, right? So this is GBPCAD, and so far we've been trying to just take a quick look at how the concept of support and resistance can help us in identifying proper entries in our charts. The concept is actually very easy. If you apply it well, it will be very easy for you. One thing that I want you to always remember is, if you are keen on holding trades for long, if you want to swing trade like me, the very interesting fact about the support and resistance is the time frame, right? You want to be sure what time frame you're looking at it from. Personally, I like to look at it from the weekly and the daily time frame, right? I try to spot out very important zones. I do not focus on zones in between. I only focus on top zones, right? Top and highly like bottom zones. So in this situation here, I can mark out this area as my resistance, and apart from the fact that I have this area as my demand, which is valid, I can also spot out this as a major support, right? I can spot out this as a major support. So if I wasn't even highlighting this demand zone, if I take it out, I would basically just have this resistance that has been broken and formed as a new support, and and this previous support. But of course, I can't ignore the fact that there's a demand zone there. It has played a major part in this entire chart, so I could leave that there. But the point is, when you are looking at your zones from a high time frame like the daily and the weekly time frame, it gives you a clearer perspective. It helps you to eliminate other zones that you might look at from a smaller time frame and you might feel they are very significant. They might be significant if you are looking to scalp or day trade, but for me, being a swing trader, zones on smaller time frame, any time frame lower than the daily time frame, spotting out a support or a resistance zone in that time frame doesn't really solidify the analysis for me. So I like to look at it from daily and weekly. It gives me a clearer picture. It helps me to eliminate insignificant zones, so I'm just focused on the ones that are very, very important. So in this case here, it's this and this, obviously. So right now, market is at this level. There's been a break and then there's been a retest. Now, the very interesting thing about this, if we're looking at everything from just this daily time frame without even having to switch, we would understand everything going on just right here, right? So we have our demand zone, we have our broken resistance, turn support, and then we can see the way the candlesticks react around this point. So in this situation here, when price came all the way back to give us a retest, if you take note of the candlesticks, you'd notice some significant things there. First off, I can spot out the inverted hammer. Let's see if I can zoom in into this a bit. Here I can spot out the inverted hammer. And then after the inverted hammer, we had a dodgy candle, we had a bearish candle, we have another inverted hammer, a dodgy candle. Then ultimately, we had a bullish candle that confirmed the move. So if I had to be trading on this market, looking at it from just the daily time frame, understanding how market has given us a break of this resistance to come back to retest our supports, then how the candlesticks are reacting around this area, it confirms the move for me. I'm not, doing too much. I'm not thinking too deeply about it. Everything I need is just right here in front of me. So I'm just taking advantage of that opportunity. Naturally, I would want to go for a 1 to 3 risk to reward. So if I were to be doing a 1 to 3 in this situation, I would probably have my stop loss right below this, all of these candlesticks right here, being responsible for that change in price movements. And I could have my take profit somewhere around here to give me a 1 to 3. Yeah, something like this. So we could have this, and if I were to be trading based on this, of course you'd see that if I'm holding the trade, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 days to hold this trade for me to hit TP. This would be a very perfect trade for me because I don't mind staying this long to see profits, especially if the move doesn't stress me and it's just, very straight to the point. So this is one of the many examples that I probably get to show you over time on how, simple support and resistance can be if you're able to spot it first on the right time frame and try to spot out very necessary zones and eliminating all the distractions in between. If you're just watching my video for the first time, if you're just visiting my channel for the first time, I make videos like this to show you simple ways that I analyze the charts. There's a lot more to these charts that I can actually, show you, but this current video is not for that. Probably make another video showing you like a top-down analysis on what I think is happening here. But as you can see on my watch list, I have only a few pairs, right? I'm looking at gold, I'm looking at AUDJPY, and then I'm looking at the S&P 500. All the other ones are just, there, but those ones are like the major. And maybe one of these days I'll make a video showing you what's been going on. I had a trade on gold today, and not today. I took the trade yesterday, and it's been going very well. It's been like halfway through my target profit, so I've locked in profits. It's a risk-free trade now. I'll probably make a video showing you the entire analysis. I did like a top-down analysis from the monthly time frame all the way to the H1 time frame using pure price action, no indicators. So I don't trade with indicators at all. I pretty much just look at the charts and try to understand the concepts of what's going on with price action, like chart patterns, candlesticks, trend line zones. I also use the Fibonacci tool. It's a very amazing tool, and I'll show you how I use the Fibonacci tool sometime. And so yeah, if this is your first time, do well to subscribe. If you enjoyed watching this video, hit the like button, and if you would want me to check out any pair, just drop a comment and let me know the pair you want us to sort of look out together. And I also have a Discord community. I mentioned it before. The link to the channel is just right there in the description, so you can join. Once in a while, we have lounge sessions where we do live charts analysis, and we sometimes take trades live and pretty much just analyze the charts and get to learn and experience everyone's style of trading. So you're welcome to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.